Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Echelon Cycling Podcast, where three cycling nerds discuss what's been happening in the week and look ahead to the future events of cycling as well, as the nature of the sport is. And as always, I'm joined by Mr. Corona himself, Ewan Wilson, and the man that thinks that there's not been a good cycling season since 2017, Mr. Patrick Blake. And I mean, guys,
Can we begin by asking Patrick to elaborate on that point?
Yeah, I was going to say 2017. Do you remember 2018, 19?
I think that 2017 was the last season when the old guard of cycling were really at the top of their game. These were times when Van Avermaet and Sagan were dominating the classics rather than Van der Poel and Van Aert, and I just quite liked that era.
Whoa. Are you... Do you prefer the era of Golden Greg over
Van der Poel and Van Aert?
I preferred when Sagan was dominant, just in that 2017 era,
okay.
18
but,
era. I think that was just better.
But Tour de France, there have been some pretty good Tours de France in the past couple of years.
There have been. I admit, but I'm bored of Jonas and Tadej now, and I just wanted to go back to 2017 again.
I am not bored. I am not bored of being goal winning.
I am already.
Look at what was Danish cycling in 2017?
Exactly. So there's a clear correlation between Danish success and how fun cycling is. That's what I'm learning here. Anyway, we listen. If people want to go and look at my video, they can go look at my video, all right? It wasn't meant to be controversial. I've already done controversial videos for the sake of it. This is supposed to be more wholesome and me explaining a good, valid point as to why 2017 was really good. It's the only year where Dumoulin won a Grand Tour. You can't say that's bad.
Yeah, that was based as hell.
Sagan on his third, run of his world champs. That was really cool. When Gaviria was actually good. When Kittel was still good before he got sent to the depths of hell Katusha. Come on, it was pretty good. And Trenton was good in the Vuelta as well, Quickstep peak sprinting. I feel like I've hijacked this whole episode with my video.
And 2017 marks the first Grand Tour stage win for Alexei Lutsenko.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he got it in the Vuelta, didn't he?
There's always a tie to Lutsenko everywhere we look. There's always a way to bring it back to him.
Oh gosh. Are we going to talk about things that have happened this week?
I guess so.
We're still in 2017.
We're not going to start cyclocross. We could do Mathieu Van der Poel coming back, Pidcock winning a World Cup as well. We will start with the news that was broken on the day of recording. We did a video up on the Cycling Day and Extra channel, so check that out as well. Tadej Pogacar confirmed for the Giro d'Italia, and what do you guys think of this?
I've got mixed opinions, I think. I think it's really cool on the one hand, but I did also see somebody on Twitter, as we all know, very, very lovely, reliable place that Twitter is nowadays. But they said something like, oh, it's kind of like Jonas is now almost guaranteed to win the Tour. Tadej's almost guaranteed to win the Giro. It's 2 Grand Tours already locked up. So that's a little bit boring. And I can see that point of view. I was quite looking forward to a more open field of the Giro with sort of, I don't want to call them B tier, but not the super mega hitters that we're used to, and just a bit more of a level playing field fight for the Giro win. And now that's sort of been taken away, so I can understand both sides of the argument for why people do and do not enjoy it, but you got to admit that it's interesting news nonetheless.
I do agree. It does feel like we now might have 2 Grand Tour walkovers next year with Jonas at the Tour, Tadej at the Giro. I'm hoping that Roglic can salvage something for our own entertainment sake at the Tour de France, but it's definitely exciting news. It's good to have a sort of A-list back at the Giro, and we haven't seen someone go for the Giro Tour double in years.
Wait, Roglic not A-lister winning it last year?
I know, but it's like a real like a Tour de France champion, you know?
Ouch.
That's true. Roglic is not one of those.
It's sad times.
But Roglic could...
Geraint Thomas won. He's a Tour champion. He was there last year.
But that 2018 Tour don't count. It doesn't. It's fully... It's like a egg and spoon race.
I'm just really intrigued to see how the season's going to go now for Pogacar. Is it because we're now doing 2 Grand Tours in 1 year? Is he going to go for the Cobble Classics? How much can he do? Then you've got the World Championships that he could legitimately win at the end of the year. We could have like a sort of Merxian year for Pogacar, or it could completely backfire and he misses the mark of both the Giro and the Tour, and we look like clowns in 12 months' time.
Currently, his calendar, if you look at it on Pro Cycling Stats, you've got a random one-day race in Portugal. You've got the Vuelta al Algarve, Giro d'Italia, and Tour de France. There's no Olympics, no Flèche-Wallonne, no Liège-Bastogne-Liège, no Milan-San Remo, no Tirreno-Adriatico. But I mean, I think you touched on it last week, Tirreno-Adriatico and maybe Estrada and Milan-San Remo was kind of rumors of his program.
Yeah, so those are the rumors right now, is that he's doing that big Italian sort of preparation into the Giro. This probably means that he will sacrifice like the Ardennes Classic, so I wouldn't hold out too much hope that he's going to be at Liège-Bastogne-Liège and Flèche-Wallonne and so forth. We haven't really seen many riders go from those races into the Giro in the past. You'll probably have to cut that, but then also do Ronda. But while Van Aert's do the same thing, going to do the Cobble Classics, then jump into the Giro. The only thing that they have different really is that Pogacar is also going to the Tour de France later on in the year. It's been like sort of years waiting for Poggy to go to the Giro though. If he gets the Giro in the bag, you feel like that Vuelta is just, that's the next thing to tick off the list. That might happen next year. It's definitely an exciting day for the Giro because we have been sort of starving. We've been in the trenches hoping that someone would announce their Giro participation, at least like a big star. Sorry to all the other riders who've said that they want to go, because Tour de France is attracting everyone. Theo Gegenhardt this week said he's going to go to the Tour de France. Roglic is going. Evenepoel's going. Feels like the Tour de France is getting all the stars, but we were missing something from the Giro, and it felt like the Giro was maybe going to be an afterthought. It still could be an afterthought, but with Pogacar there, that does add that sort of that big name value. There's this thing, I can't remember what it's called, in like Broadway. I don't really know musical theater, but it's
what? Where's this going?
Theater, but is it like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like when you put like a famous person into a musical purely to bring people into it. It's like they've drafted in like a Hollywood actor to go into like a Broadway musical that was probably destined to be mid. And now it's going to have so much attention because this big Hollywood stars is making their Broadway debut.
So anyway, Italy out of your traveling list for the next 10 years. I think they're probably going to go after you for that, for calling it a mid-TV show.
No, I love the Giro. It's just the fact that the Giro next year with a meh parcours and a list of favorites that's thin on the ground. I mean, anyone could be a favorite now.
Yeah, Jade Hindley maybe. Hard to predict for Yombro.
But this also does throw up opens the door wide to what could possibly happen for UAE's Tour de France. If is Poggy fully focusing on the Giro, we still would imagine he's still fully focusing on the Tour de France, but then that also offers up the possibility of maybe another one of their big stars getting an opportunity later into the year. But also, for all the Almeida fans out there, probably means Almeida's not going to win the Giro next year.
Well, Almeida won't go win the Giro anyway. But
Ooh, wow, shot fired here from both of you.
It won't get out. I just think it's interesting thinking about what UAE are going to do at the Tour, because with Ayuso now not, just being like the Vuelta merchant for UAE now, I presume he's going to get given leadership, or at least some co-leadership with Poggy at the Tour. So I think it's interesting to think about where Ayuso might finish at the Tour. I mean, based upon this Vuelta just gone, unless he takes a little bit of a step forwards, like a podium's going to be quite difficult with the other kind of guys like Roglic there, with Jonas there, with Remco if he can hold things together for more than like a few days at a time, with Kuss as well, who's now just like a proper red herring in the mix as well. Like, it's not like a guarantee, and I think that Pogacar going to the Giro is just a bit like waving a white flag, because he's basically just saying like, I'm going to the Giro, and we all know that Giro Tour double is really difficult to do. I can't even remember the last time that it was done, is how difficult it is. Like, even, what was it, Froome 2018 when he won the Giro with that massive raid, he lost to Geraint Thomas that year. So I know Pogacar, I'd just say, is like on, really sensational talent and all that, but I'm not sure about Pogacar's chances at the Tour. It feels a bit like, if you're doing a Giro, why not just do Giro Vuelta? I feel like the Tour's already like gone to Jonas at this point, or is that just far too cynical?
No, I'm also in a place of cynicism. I feel like after last year's Tour de France, Tour de France 2023, I felt like it was going to take a lot to topple Jonas in the years to come. And this almost feels like it might be another reason for Jonas to get another Tour de France win, because we saw Pogacar was injured last year, didn't have the preparation he wanted. And then this year, it's like, well, in 2024, we're in this awkward period where it feels like it's this year, but it's not technically yet anyways. But for 2024, Pogacar's like run-up is going to be different to normal. I appreciate the fact he's spicing it up a little bit, but it definitely feels like Jonas is probably gearing up for another Tour de France win. But you never know. You never know in these kind of scenarios. Someone could crash, something bad could happen, or Jonas has to pull out, you know? Or Sepkus becomes the leader of his Melissa bike, and they have to all respect that and work towards Sepkus getting a second Grand Tour victory. But it's definitely feeling like it's definitely more sewn up now than any of the past, well, 2 Tours de France have been. I still believe, Scott. I know you're a doubter, but I still think Roglic is a key contender for next year's Tour de France with that incredibly strong Bora Hansgrohe squad.
That includes
Amo Bushman, Jai Hindley, Bob Jungels,
someone's living in 2019.
Sasha Vlasov. It includes plenty of Leonard Kemner potentially. It includes a hell of a lot of good climbing talent. I think we're almost overlooking. They won a Giro d'Italia last year. Sorry, Danny Martinez. He's good. Good team. I'm telling you, Bora Hansgrohe could really challenge for next year's Tour de France, and Roglic could get the win. I know I released a video of the cycling vein a week ago saying that Roglic would never win, but I'm going back on my word here and standing by Roggers.
Because it's almost Christmas time, or it pretty much is. It's a bit like having a roast dinner with a naff turkey.
Huh?
It's a bit like having everything in a Christmas dinner is perfect.
Oh my goodness.
AKA Bora. But if your turkey's a bit dry, AKA Roglic, people don't really remember the rest of it.
I do disagree. I think we have a perfect piece of poultry in Primož Roglic. He's getting on, but if he's solely targeting the next year's Tour de France and doesn't crash, things could happen. I'm feeling a special way.
He doesn't crash, then yeah. But I really don't like the odds of Roglic not crashing. It just seems to happen.
What Patrick said as well.
What the turkey?
No, not that. No, you compared at some point. You compared him just narrowly beating Geraint Thomas, and then Geraint Thomas's deficit between Pogacar and Vingegaard at the 2022 Tour de France.
That line of explanation was highly critiqued by the comment section, and I agree with the comment section. I'm siding with the people. I believe in democracy. Bear in mind, Roglic did crash. I've lost a bit of meat, and I still think we could see something special from Primož next year.
I mean, he'll podium for sure.
For sure. What's the last tour he actually finished?
He podiumed that one.
Yeah, he podiumed that one. He's got a really good conversion rate of finishing the tour and being on the podium. So one thing will lead to another. It's pretty simple.
2018 he wasn't on the podium, fourth.
Yeah, I'm just not sure about it because Vingegaard beat Roglic at the Vuelta this year, even though Roglic had the Giro Vuelta double, so he gets better prep, whereas Jonas was coming off of the Tour, so it's relatively more fatigued.
You know, I think the Vuelta 23 was a bit of a strange dynamic in that team. I think it's hard to say.
Is it like the 2018 Tour? Well, it's a bit team dynamic. You don't really know. Did Geraint Thomas actually win?
But then also in the 2018 Tour, Roglic was fighting for leadership with Stefan Kruijswijk, who was also up there in top 5.
Yeah, Roglic just come a long way, hasn't he? Look where he's come.
And he's up.
Well, ironically, he was going down when he was ski jumping. But anyway, this is
the 2021 Tour de France on stage 3 and the 2022 Tour de France on stage 5.
Anyway, the whole point of this segment is Tadej Pogacar, and we're diverting it over and talking about Primoz Roglic. Is there anyone in any conceivable way that can topple Tadej Pogacar?
Didn't you say that Simon Yates is one of the best climbers in the world?
No, I said on his day. I said on his day. They come very rarely, but on his day.
They say it's his day. Say he has.
Yeah, but that's
21
one day.
days in a row.
He never has 21 days. Even in the 2018 Vuelta, he didn't have 21 days.
But he might do. We're in an unprecedented age of cycling. Simon Yates could have 21 of his days in a row, and maybe, just maybe, he could topple Pogacar. What odds would you give on it?
Leicester City comes to mind when you think about those odds.
And that was thousands to one.
5,000.
But, okay. Oh, I should have mentioned this in the video with the cycling extra, but like Poggy's big downfall is like the longer days for lots of climbing. They've been ridden incredibly hard at very attritional stages. The Giro isn't ridden in the same way. We don't see Giro stages popping off 100 kilometers to go where we have a team really rattling things. The Giro, I think is more concentrated in the final 10, 20 kilometers than the Tour de France has become over the past 2 years, which is our point of comparison for Pogacar and his sort of downsides. On a stage to Livigno, which, if that was raced in the Tour de France, could really, really destroy Pogacar. I think in, a day like that, if it were in the Tour de France rather in the terms of the profile, I think that could really hurt Pogacar. But in the Giro, I just don't think these longer days are going to be ridden like that. Even in the past couple of years at the Giro, we haven't really seen these long attritional stages be lit up from far out. Egan Bernal did it in the 2021, but that was on a shortened stage. We saw Damiano Caruso try to pull off a big coup, but he only gained about 1 minute in the end in the 2021 Giro d'Italia as well. Apart from the COVID one, but the COVID one was filled with asterisks. I think it's not going to be super similar to the Tour de France in terms of the general dynamic. I think if Pogacar gains 2 minutes in that opening week, it's a done deal.
What we've learned from this is actually the biggest threat to Pogacar's victory is Damiano Caruso. Somehow, in some way, Caruso is the biggest threat. I don't see any reason why Pogacar is going to lose the Giro, gravel as well, whatever that stage is. The TTs, I don't see how anybody else wins.
The other sort of the time trialists the general classification riders who can time trial on a similar level are all at the Tour de France. And looking at Jonas, looking at Remco, looking at Roglic, none of those guys are coming to the Giro. So I think, in terms of the time trials, he's got it pretty sewn up. I mean, Yates he's been improving in time trials, but I still think he'll lose a minute to Pogacar. And like that long time trial to Lake Garda, I think he could lose a minute there. Even the one into Perugia in the first week, Pogacar could gain a minute, could win that stage. I know Pippo Ganna's there, but I think Pogacar with that uphill into Perugia could definitely take that. Go into pink early on. Do UAE want to lead it from beginning to end? Well, it's up to them. They probably might let a breakaway guy take the pink jersey for a while. That happens quite a lot of the Giro. It's really going to be quite simple. Controlling the Giro is a lot easier than controlling the Tour de France, which has been sort of UAE's downfall in the past couple of years. They haven't been as strong as Visma in controlling the race, but the Giro is so different. It's going to be a hell of a lot easier.
Anyways, with Tadej Pogacar and the Giro d'Italia, we didn't even talk about if he's going to do the Giro Tour double, if he's actually going to do it, but I think the consensus is fairly agreed here. We might as well go to kits. We looked at kits quite heavily last week, and which ones have been released this week?
We've had a couple released this week. Let's begin with Primož Roglic's team. Bora Hansgrohe, who dropped their new kits. They were with Le Col, and now they have switched to Sportful, which is the provider they were with beforehand when they moved up to the World Tour level in 2017, and they've slightly changed their color scheme. Gone is the aquamarine. Instead, we now have a sort of military green and fluorescent yellow double act. It's giving Tinkoff Saxo 2015 Tour de France, if you remember that kit. Even Armée de Terre, which is the French national army team that was around back in the 2010s. Julien Alaphilippe used to ride for them. I'll be honest, I think this is a huge downgrade. I am not a fan of this new kit for the squad. I really like the aquamarine and red. I thought that was quite a cool visual identity for them. One of the big reasons I was happy for Roglic moving there was that he was going to be wearing a really nice kit next season, but it's been redesigned quite severely here. And also, one thing I am intrigued by is that because Hansgrohe's color is that aquamarine, I'm surprised they haven't really made that the focal point of the kit's like color palette. So it does look a bit strange how you got this like military green, the high vis, and then just that little aquamarine logo with the Bora or the Bora Hansgrohe in the chest. It's a bit strange. And also the shorts are military green as well. Looks a bit tacky. I think darker shorts would have been good.
I prefer it to some of the other kits which have been released. Like I said last week, I like the blocky colours. I think this is going to be easier to identify from an aerial shot, so I like it from that aspect. yeah, I can agree. It does look like a bit like a Sif bottle. I remember seeing that image somewhere. And if you don't know what a Sif bottle looks like, just go look it up. It's just like a cleaning appliance. Yeah, it's all right. I would have quite liked it. Imagine the fluorescent yellow in your mind's eye, but imagine it being like the red, like the more red from last year. And I think that would have looked better, personally. Somebody who's good with Photoshop, go do that. I think it is a little bit of a downgrade from last year, but I think that in comparison to some of the other kits that have been released, it's not that bad.
It's the year of the mid kits. This is a 6 out of 10.
I was gonna say it is like a 6. It's probably about on the same level as Ineos, maybe just a smidge better.
Oh, you think it's better than the Ineos kit? I actually like the Ineos
We haven't
kit.
started talking about Ineos. We've got to get onto that one.
We did last week. We kind of mentioned Ineos, the reveal one from Egan Bernal. Yeah, but it
is slightly different.
Okay, fine. Do you want to talk about Ineos then?
Well, now we mentioned it, I feel like we should. So Ineos released their kit, a new collaboration with Gobic. In the press release, it's all about being unconventional and breaking the rules and breaking conventions, because Ineos Grenadiers are a team that like to do that, apparently. So the new kit, it's orange is still the main theme of it, and it has a sort of striped gradient into navy blue on one side. It's still asymmetrical, and I think the asymmetry is actually handled a lot better. The stripe that they've had on the back of the shirt as a motif since 2010, when the team was released, has been switched from navy blue to orange. Interesting choice there. But as a whole, it's okay. I think it's a hell of a lot neater than the one they had last year. I think it's a slight improvement, to be honest. I'm going to say 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I prefer it over the geometric freaking triangles that they had last year. Do you remember that? I wasn't really a fan of that.
And do you know anything about the geometric triangles? Is that like they tried to go for asymmetry, but it just looked a bit strange because it was ever so slightly asymmetrical, like to the point where it looked uncomfortable. I don't know. Not like, I mean, it looked uncomfortable for me. Don't know about other people if it bothered them, but this one I feel like is done in a much more tasteful way. I've been really enjoying Gobic's designs over the past couple of years. I think they've been standing out as a pretty top tier clothing provider, given that they've kind of emerged onto the scene since COVID.
I think it's a decent kit. I'll give it a 6.
Yeah, same. Yeah, Astana.
Yeah, the home of Aleti Lutsenko. Astana has Kazakhstan.
But it was Lutsenko they used. It was Mark Cavendish, unfortunately.
Well, Lutsenko was in the pictures.
Okay.
But Mark Cavendish, of course, he's making his big Tour de France return. And Astana Kazakhstan, that's Kazakhstan with Q, have released their kit. It's a bit of a mashup between their normal design and their Tour de France and Vuelta España kits that they wore last year. So you've got this kind of like blue and yellow marble effect through sort of the first third from the top of the abs down to the waistline, and the rest of the jersey is a pretty stable light blue color, the typical Astana light blue color that we have been used to over the past couple of years. It's very tasteful. I quite like it. A good happy medium between their Tour de France kit and their normal jersey. I give this a 6, maybe 0.5, 6.25. But it is like, the thing is, it's tasteful, but it's also quite mid. I can't have everything. I'm hard to please.
It's such a good way of describing it. I like where they toned down the kind of tour special bit and just kind of, left it a little bit. Like, it's still there, but it's just not like all over the place. Yeah, it's not like that marble effect just like everywhere. It's just like a little bit more controlled, and I like that. It's on the same level as Ineos. Nobody's breaking into this upper echelon. Nobody's exceeded the 7th for me, so I'm just going to give it a 6.5 as well.
Oh, I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like that.
What's wrong with
it? The bottom bit, it looks tacky.
To be fair, I'm not going to say it looks tacky, because I think it looks quite cool, but it is kind of useless. Because when the riders, we have to think about this, when the riders are crouched down on the bike, you're not going to be able to see that part of the jersey. And they don't win very often. So we're not really going to see like that effect really on show. It looks good on a coat hanger, but put it in a peloton, we're not really going to see the special effect. It's the same problem that UAE have a little bit with their new stripes, that like it looks good on, whilst you're like sitting down on the podium, whatever, but actually in a bunch, it's not quite that distinctive. Should we continue the mid theme of kits?
I mean, do you think we're gonna see that part at the Tour de France of the kit?
Well, they might even release a new one.
Yeah, true, actually.
Well, half these teams release special Tour de France kits nowadays.
I hate special kits.
Same.
Soudal Quickstep. Okay.
I think this is an upgrade from last year's, personally. I don't think that it's not like world beating. I mean, people who are on cycling Twitter and stuff will probably know the person who like designed it. Well, not personally, but people will be familiar with this person's work, and they do create some really cool concepts. I do think that maybe they're restricted by the team's colour scheme and whatnot, and I think the kit would look better, but it's got that massive ungainly like Napoleon whatever like casino brand on it, and that just really irks me. But it's just like this, there's like a red star on it, and it just doesn't really work. But I prefer it over the last year's. I can't even remember what it was like, but it kind of blends the white into the blue a bit better for me. Yeah, it's still just like a mid. It's still like a 6.5 for me. I don't think it's breaching 7, but they do win the prize for the coolest announcement video so far. I think that's for sure.
I was going to say that as well. Yeah, Julien Philippe coming out and pretty funny.
Yeah, lip syncing to Beyonce. I'm hoping he's going to be on Drag Race France next year. Yeah, this kit, I simply don't care for it. It's like the guy who created it, as you say, I think he's always restricted because whenever he works with these World Tour teams, he releases the most sort of average kits, even though like the ones he makes on they make on like Instagram and Twitter and stuff look really cool. Then it just drops. One thing that bothers me is the different shade of blue between the shorts and the top half of the jersey. Like it's ever so slightly different. That really irks me. And I mean, the effect on like the sleeves where the Janon logo is, I don't know what Janon do, but that's cool. But the rest of the jersey is just criminally mid. 4 out of 10.
Ouch! I would give this like 5, 6.
That's not even that much more. You sounded offended, but only came I think it's just consolidates how mid these jerseys have been. Also,
wait for Israel. Israel's gonna absolutely dominate.
Also, EF. The high expectations. There was a bit of a leak at the Visma Lisa Bike team camp. That's a bit of a mouthful of what their color scheme is going to be next year. We got a glimpse of their new bottles and their new socks. The jersey was covered up, but the socks and bottles were not. And the bikes were on show. I think we still have yellow as the predominant color of that jersey, which is surprising because the yellow came from Jumbo and Visma's lead color is red. So looks like we're going to be keeping the yellow of Visma Lisa Bike next year. They know that's part of the big team identity, maybe.
But anyway, moving on, and we are a lot more active on Twitter, the three of us, and this week Ewan indirectly almost got Primoz Roglic in a bit of trouble because I tweeted a picture you sent to me about Roglic not having the bike that he's contractually paid for, being the Jumbo-Visma bike, the Cervelo. He was pictured with a very beautiful Specialized as he was on the Bora team camp, and the rules used to be that you couldn't actually use the new equipment, the new jersey, etc. before your contract ends, which obviously is 1st of January. And obviously a few years ago, Sergio Higuita was fired by EF Education for being pictured with a Specialized, joining Bora as well after he was at Sportive. I think it was the Rigoberto Urán Sportive. And yeah, that was a whole saga as well. But yeah, Ewan, why are you trying to get Primoz Roglic in trouble?
I wasn't trying to get him in trouble. I just saw a picture of him at the training camp, but I was like, I might as well just send that across. Also, this came in the same week that Kid Brooks was spotted at the Visma training camp wearing all black. So I thought this was like an interesting sort of dichotomy between Brooks sneakily being on the Visma camp wearing all black, and then Roglic just be wearing his Jumbo kit at the Bora one, but with the Bora equipment. However, there was like people on Twitter were quick to sort of say like, oh, it's not that bad because this is a training camp, but not like a public, not a public.
They're on public roads. It's like, what?
But it wasn't like an actual event or a race, which was what was the problem with Higuita a couple of years back. But I mean, at the Visma camp, we've seen like Matteo Jorgensen. He's been wearing his Movistar kit there, but riding the bikes, like the Cervelo bikes. I guess it's also a really important time for the riders to get used to their new equipment before the beginning of the new season. So maybe that is the other difference here. I remember, I think Higuita, wasn't he wearing Bora shorts or something as well in that video that came out a couple of years back? But I mean, Brooks is wearing Visma shorts at his training camp, and He's still contracted to Bora Hansgrohe, you believe.
135,000 people that tweet has reached. So Matt Rendell even chimed in as well.
Oh.
Big fan.
Wow. We are, yeah. Gosh, we need the Tour Down Under, don't we? We really need that to come around. This is what cycling Twitter has descended to. It is curious, though, why Higuita was in one way and Roglic is in another. But you know what? If people want to have at it, go to Scott's tweet. Pile on. Just let's get it more.
I mean, I agree. I'm just saying if Roglic doesn't get fired, Sergio Higuita shouldn't be fired. All I'm saying is justice for Sergio. Cyclocross time. Yeah, Mathieu Van der Poel returning to, Belgium in the X2O Hetals race that he wanted last year. No Wout van Aert, despite it being in his hometown. Quite a boring race, to be honest, because Mathieu Van der Poel just disappeared after the first lap. Bit of a fight for the podium. Tom Pidcock, quite a good comeback coming from 12th place and finishing second, but then going on to win the World Cup on the Sunday. So, yeah, Patrick, what did you make of all this cyclocross?
It's good to see the big names back, although, as I've said, it must be kind of annoying if you're just like an Elizabeth, Lars van der Haar, etc., and you're just like, oh, I'm doing so well, and then they just turn up first race, but not even like, dialed into the whole riding the ruts and, bunny hopping the barriers, and they just go and win anyway. That would irk me just a little bit if I was in their shoes or in their cleats, whatever you want to say. Yeah, Isabeth and Van der Haar had good fights. It was Van der Haar's just a better sprinter, so that was that. And then Pidcock was the winner in the World Cup. That's his first World Cup victory of the year, first one he's entered, so that's a good conversion rate. Quite interesting because is this also the week where I saw an article which said it was interviewing with Thibaut Nace, and he said that he will, I can't remember if it was will, but he was talking about how he will join the big three at some point. I'm not sure. I didn't read the article, so I don't actually know what timeline he was specifying. But do you think Thibaut Nace will join the big three, say in the next 2 years, or is that unrealistic?
I mean, maybe. I mean, we were talking about Mathieu Van der Poel, Wout van Aert wanting to reduce their calendar even more so. So they need that extra. Well, it would be a bit of shame for Ilya Izabet and all them that suddenly just Thibaut Nace just waltzes past them.
Yeah, literally. But then rounding out the podium today in Namur in the World Cup was Pim Ronhaar and Joris Nieuwenhuis, both of Balois Trek Lions. So they are continuing to have good seasons. They beat Elizabeth, Michael van Toornout, and Lars van der Haar. So definitely not like I kind of thought with Ronhaar and Nieuwenhuis. I was like, is this just kind of like a flash in the pan, sort of, one good result here or there? So it happens in cyclocross every year, but this is definitely some consistency when you consider that Isabeth, Van der Haar, and Van Toornout. I'd consider to be the echelon below the big three. And I think there's definitely a bit of there's a mix-up going in that section of the cyclocross scene, which is quite good to see. It kind of doesn't just mean that it's like, when the big three are there, it just increases the number of people who are like competitive to win it. And I'm all for that. In the women's race, Alvarado won ahead of Pietza and Lucinda Brandt. So full Dutch podium there, which, I mean, in this women's day and age, it's not necessarily the biggest shock in the world to have 3 Dutch women at the top, but yeah, I don't know, but it was good. Pietza down the whole pint in one go. That was pretty good. She's kind of like the interesting character, I think, in women's cyclocross, and we like big characters, don't we?
You should get an extra prize for downing the pint the quickest on the podium.
Yeah, I think that's that should definitely be a thing. Who would
also drink responsibly as well, guys?
Out of the big 6 in men's road cycling, who would win a pint downing competition?
Tadej. Roglic. No, Roglic.
You reckon Roglic?
Oh, I don't know. Well,
who would not be?
Wow, no.
It would
be. I don't think Jonas would. I think Jonas would have 2 sips of a Tuborg and call it a night.
I don't think Remco would win either.
But he did grow up in Belgium. He's used to his pinches.
That's true. I don't know. I feel like this is the true fight that needs to go on next year. I don't care about the Tour anymore. I think we need to somehow get all 6 of them lined up and drinking a pint, and we want a true race to see who would finish it first. That's the kind of content cycling needs.
Exactly. This is my Tour de France.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry. Anyway.
Rider of the week.
Oh,
my rider of the week is good news. There has been road cycling.
no, this is
Donovan Ramirez won stage 2 of the Vuelta Ciclista Internacional at Costa Rica, and he now leads GC. So tune in next week, ladies and gentlemen, to hear what the outcome of this race will be. I know you're all sitting on the edges of your seats.
We also have the Arab Road Cycling Championships as well to choose from.
We do. Big fan. That's being held in Saudi Arabia at the moment. Keen out the Brooks again.
How? He hasn't ridden on a bike. He wasn't in a cyclocross race. You can't pick him. Last week
he has ridden on the bike. He was wearing all black in a training camp. And the plot thickened, this week about the Bora Hansgrohe, the riders of the Vuelta, having a WhatsApp group chat about him where they were bullying him behind his back. And then there was all this, the plot thickened, and Bora Hansgrohe were saying, nah, this wasn't true. And we still don't really know what's happening. And apparently, Brooks refused a €1 million offer from Ineos Grenadiers to take a much smaller paycheck at Jumbo, at Visma Lease a bike for next year. I'm still mightily intrigued by this, and I'm fascinated to see where it goes. And to be honest, it's thin on the ground for choosing people, and I don't think I care enough about cyclocross to choose one of those riders. Sorry, Pim, Ron Ha, Mathieu Van der Poel, and Tom Pidcock. You're not making the cut. We need spicy. We need a WhatsApp bullying group chat. Of course, I don't approve of this behavior, but it made for a fascinating story. It felt like sort of high school drama. Yeah, out the Brooks. Or even just sort of Bora Hansgrohe in general.
Right, okay. Mathieu Van der Poel Tom Pidcock, because he came back from far back and won a World Cup. So Tom Pidcock, you're my rider of the week. That's how you play the game, guys.
That's super mid though.
That's so boring. That's so predictable.
Surprised you didn't pick Alaphilippe for his amazing Beyonce.
Again, yeah.
Actually, it was Celine Dion, not Beyonce. I think that was a Freudian slip earlier on. Celine Dion, Eurovision Song Contest winner in 1989 for Switzerland. Let's not forget.
Here we go. What a way to finish a cycling podcast. Anyways, that is it for number 47. Make sure to comment down below. We'll get involved in the comments next week for next week's episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and check us all out on Twitter. The accounts will be in the description this week. I forgot last week. And of course, as always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.